RiRi Calienté.
My name is Richard Arias Jr., otherwise known as RiRi Calienté, drag entertainer here in Salem, Oregon. Not to quote or to quote an ABBA song, I learned how to sing before I could talk and dance before I could walk. I am a huge ham and have always looked at humor as a way to get through things. My parents would wake me up in the middle of the night. They would have house parties or whatever, and they would wake me up in the middle of the night to have me reenact like the whole Wizard of Oz, because at the age of 5 I could reenact the whole movie line for line. So to entertain their friends, they would have me get up out of bed and say, come on, come do the Wizard of Oz for our friends. Ever since then, it's just, the bug has just been there. I've always just been a very singing, dancing, acting kind of a guy. I don't have a drag mother. I'm completely 100% self-taught. I've had people help along the way, but I've been legally blind since birth. So the doctors thought I was going to go completely blind by the age of 5, but we don't know what happened. Somebody had a bigger plan for me. So the makeup that I put on my face, I put on myself. I can't drive legally. It's been that way ever since I was born. So that's been the biggest hurdle in drag, wanting to do drag well. The name RiRi Calienté was just RiRi, and I intended it to be that way. I wanted to be just Cher, just Madonna, just, you know. I don't know, about a year into my career, I was introduced at a show because I am Mexican-American. The MC said, she's spicy, she's hot, she's caliente, she's RiRi Calienté. And I was like, I like that last name. So I took it and ran with it. So that's how the RiRi Calienté came to be. When I first started doing drag in the early 90s, it just wasn't my time. I was going by a very different drag name back then. I wasn't on anyone's radar. My name was Regina Monet, which is really like, I'm 21 years old and that name sounds like it belongs to an much older queen. My skin wasn't thick enough. I just didn't have the chops. I needed more work. So I put it away. And then about 10 years later, I lost my best friend to HIV, Dwayne Wood. And we were middle school, high school friends. We often thought we were like Thelma and Louise or Romeo and Michelle, depending on which movie reference you use. That was kind of, he was my best friend, and I didn't have a traditional outing when I was 19, 20 years old. I was outed forcefully. And so that was a trigger. So I had just graduated high school, my parents were getting a divorce, and then I was outed. So I had all this stuff going on, and Dwayne was the person who grounded me and kind of pulled me out of it, because I sunk into a very deep depression. And Dwayne was the person who pulled me out of that and said, hey, look, he was kind of like my driving force of, you know, you're better than this, let's do this. You're too young to be sitting here, you know, let's go out, let's have fun, let's do this, let's do that, let's experience life. After that, I just didn't look behind. I just kept looking forward. Didn't go back as far as like, I didn't move back in with my parents. I said, I'm gonna move to the big city, which at that time when I lived in California was Sacramento, California. So we loaded up the car with everything that we had and we drove to Sacramento. We got a little hole-in-the-wall apartment, flipped burgers at McDonald's, and began this journey, you know, fresh out of the closet, you know, discovering who the heck we are. And we did it as best friends. And then after that, my parents reconciled and they moved to Salem, Oregon. And so I'm the type of person, being from a large Hispanic family, my family is everything to me, so I started to miss them. And Dwayne could tell, so Dwayne's like, you know what, I think we should move to Oregon. Let's try something new. You know, we conquered Sacramento, let's conquer Oregon. So we drove to Oregon, and on his deathbed, he said, promise me that you'll do drag. You're meant to do drag. I need you to do drag. Yeah, yes. So I didn't think twice about it. And then about 10 years later after that, it just hit me. I have to do drag. I've done community theater. I've done, I've been part of, choruses around town. I need to give this a shot. And so I took the RI from Regina and the RI from Richard, and I combined them to make RiRi. So the queen I always thought I was, and the man that I am today had to become my drag name in order for me to somehow encapsulate all of the knowledge, all of the life experience. In between my freshman and sophomore year in high school, they opened up cheerleader tryouts to males at that time, which was a huge deal for our small town. I was like, this is my calling. I was already part of choir. I was already part of drama. It was the Holy Trinity was calling to me. It's like theater, choir, and now cheerleading. I have to. And so a few other guys in high school, there was 3 others, we got together and we said, okay, let's do it as a group. There's safety in numbers. We didn't know what to expect. And we got there, we got to tryouts, and I did it, and we all made it. And then the bullying kicked in, and getting beat up by the football players who we were cheering for, because of we're guys and we're cheerleaders. So the other 3 bailed and I stayed. I was like, you ain't gonna take my spotlight away from me. I have to do this. This is something that I have to do. And so that skin had already begun to thicken because of everything, that was happening with the bullying, being the only male cheerleader at that point then. And then I went on my junior year, and then by my senior year I was a head cheerleader, and it was the norm. And everybody was embracing it. I think the only way I could describe drag at this point would be what it means to me, because it should be something personal. It should be something that is uniquely you. For me personally, it's finding a place to be in touch with that side of myself that doesn't get to come out and play during the daylight. So there is that, that feminine side of me that likes to, to look nice, look pretty, but also entertain and educate the children around me. I've always looked at drag as a way to heal myself and heal others by what I can bring to the table. So a lot of what I do is uplifting. I try not to, get too serious or too down about it and not take it too seriously, but at the same time I want people to know that I'm here for a reason. I started doing drag because I wanted to express myself on a whole different level than I had become accustomed to. Richard may walk into a room and not want to talk to anybody, but the minute RiRi walks into a room, can I get a hug? Can I get a hug? What are you doing? Are being pulled in 10 different directions. And while there's comfort in that, there's also it's a lot of pressure. And over the years, I've put myself in that position purposely to help myself grow, to become more of a outgoing Richard and not rely so much on RiRi. So the first time I performed, I went to, the City nightclub in downtown Portland, early 90s. It was the hot spot. I always had this fascination with old Hollywood, like the women of old Hollywood, the glamour girls. And so I dressed up, probably looking 30 or 40 years older than I actually was. And I went out, and here's this sea of teenagers and people my age. And I did a RuPaul number. It kind of just was like a lead balloon and didn't really go anywhere, because that's before I learned that, you have to know your audience, pay attention to who they are. So that was I remember going home, and as much as I don't like to admit it, I went home and I cried, because I had so much confidence, I thought, And then I just wasn't ready because it just knocked me down by not being so welcomed. Fast forward 20 years or so, I was working for the state of Oregon, and a coworker of mine was involved with the local court system here, which is a drag-based nonprofit here. He said, we really need, you're always talking about how you used to do drag, you're a theater person, you should do some drag. Let's see what you got. We could really use some new talent. So I said, I'll give it a thought. Then I remembered the promise I made to Dwayne and said, okay, I can do this now. So I prepared. I got a call that day after I got home from work saying, the producer of the show doesn't know you from anywhere and doesn't feel comfortable having you on stage. My friend from work, Sean, was going to vouch for me and say, hey, she's good for it. Let's let her do it. And so the producer at the time said, no, I don't know who she is. I don't want to get burned. So she emailed me the next day and said, if you want to show us what you got, come to a community show, meaning an open show where anyone from the community can come and perform. So that's what I did. I took 2 months, fine-tuned some things, and I came out and I did a Beyonce number. And now the same show producer who told me no 2 months earlier came and gave me $1, and she goes, we need to talk after the show, after she saw me perform. So I was like, yes, validation. I was validated as a entertainer, as a drag entertainer. In hindsight, I appreciate you telling me no, because it gave me an extra couple of months to figure out exactly who I want to be. Never a dull moment with drag in the house. Drag brings me a lot of joy, real joy, and peace. Like, I'm very at peace on stage performing. It's a combination of an inner peace mixed with the chaos of the crowd. There's just something so comforting about it and freeing. So for me, drag has always been first and foremost a lifesaver, but ultimately just a way to look at life overall. Not take things too seriously. Things aren't always what they seem, and take the time to really get to know somebody underneath the layers of makeup and cinch wear. With everything that's going on right now, we're not trying to convert your children. We're not trying to corrupt anyone. We ourselves are just trying to, in often cases, making a living, entertaining the masses. For me, it's become a business. It's become my life. It's become work, a work that I enjoy. So when somebody tells me that what I'm doing is not suitable for all audiences, that kind of strikes a chord with me, not in a good way. I feel very obligated myself as a person of the community to say, drag isn't just what you see on TV. There's we've got queens who are reading to children. We've got queens who are out there who are advocating for HIV awareness. It's not doing anyone harm. It's actually bringing a lot of happiness and joy. My drag family started not too long after I started, and it was more like I needed a companion versus a child, but I ended up with a child. There's a contest that's held once a year through the court of the Willamette Empire. It is called Closet Ball, and that's when we take somebody who has not done drag before and put them in drag head to toe in 1 hour. I had befriended somebody when I first came onto the scene, and they were like a fan immediately, and we just became friends. He's now my best friend, and I said, hey, I could put you in drag. I think I could do it. I think I'm ready to do it. So he got everything that he needed, and at that time I was dating somebody else who wanted to be put in drag. So I actually did 2 people in 1 hour, head to toe in drag, and I still lost. But through that was the first one that I had, and that was Priscilla Calienté, who was who just stepped down as Miss Gay Salem 44. So she's been my best friend. So she was the first one. And then as time went on, I held different titles throughout the court system and throughout the community. And I was like, I started feeling maternal, and I started noticing that people started looking at me as like a mother or the auntie, and I kind of embraced that role. Me always wanting children growing up, it was a way for me to kind of have the best of both worlds, you know, have children, but not have to change any diapers, at least not yet. So, so then another came along, and then another, and then before I knew it, I had an army of, I think I had about 10 altogether. What I look for is somebody who says they want to do drag because they have something to say. The minute you tell me, I want to do drag because I want to make money, that tunes, I tune that out. While the money does come in and the money is nice, that's never why I want to do it. That's never why I want anyone associated with me or has my name. That's not why I want them to do it. I want them to do it because they have something to express. They have something to offer. So all my children are extremely different from one another and bring something very different to the table. Lilac is one of my children, and she has her own wig business. My fiance, I also painted him 5 years ago at Closet Ball, and will be celebrating 5 years in September doing drag. He's also part of my shows at the Southside Speakeasy. Misha was just at my brunch, the Makeup and Mimosas brunch. And I have drag kings. I have James Van Gogh, my drag king son, who was the reigning emperor of Salem during COVID. Xavier Calienté, who's my newest drag son. BB Calienté, JJ Calienté, and then Jenna. When we all get together, it is truly a family. We just got together for my fiance's birthday, and all of us were literally sitting around the table, and it felt like a family, just laughing and talking. And I sat there and I had a moment. I didn't tell anybody this, but I had a moment where I was like, this is nice. I like this. The Imperial Sovereign Court of the Willamette Empire is a nonprofit organization. It's part of the international court system, which is all over the United States, Mexico, Canada. And what they do is little courts throughout will assist through drag and through, you know, pomp and circumstance, raise funds for nonprofits in the community. Like, for instance, you know, we've donated thousands to HIV Alliance, Willamette Humane Society, St. Francis Shelter. There's a lot of nonprofits that we've helped over the years. And Mano y Mano, when I was Empress of the ISCWE, that was one of mine, because I felt it was very important to reach out to the Hispanic community, which doesn't always get recognition, because there's a huge queer Latino community that isn't represented or touched on. So I was the first Hispanic Empress in nearly 20 years, almost 25 years. So that was kind of like my platform, was to reach out to the Hispanic community and help raise funds for those in need. But it's mainly an organization where we get to dress up, look pretty, wear crowns, and do good for the community, basically. I did lose my father to cancer in the middle of my reign, but I had drag children, a drag family who helped kind of hold my place for me when I was in California taking care of my father, to make sure, because there was talk of, well, maybe you should step down. There's you know, a lot going on, and they're like, no, we got her back. Mom's not doing anything. We're taking care of her. So they basically watched the home front while I was taking care of family business. I've found that over the years that people who have never been to drag shows, which is a question I always ask in my monologue, who's never been to a drag show? because I want to know, so I know how to proceed. So I can be informed, still be my funny self, but be informative. Being able to witness drag can open up your mind. It can make you think of things that you haven't thought of before, see a completely different side of the argument, whatever that may be. There's a lot more power in drag than I think people realize. And so when you're told you can't or you shouldn't, I'm going to say I can and I will. And you're going to like it, I promise. The heart is always there. So why not walk into a room, sit down, watch a show, and be informed and have fun? And a lot of times it can also spark something in somebody who maybe didn't know that they wanted to do drag, or maybe they didn't, or gee, I never thought of it like that, or very thought-provoking. And as long as you ask the questions and you have the answers, I think drag can actually open up those doors for you in your mind and really just set you free in a sense. Being visible and seeing that drag isn't just one note, that it's all kinds of things. It's different shapes and sizes, it's different colors, it's different textures. But at the base of it, it's heart. It's because we love to do it. It's because there's a passion there. So I think visibility, when we get to do what we love and have it be seen, have it be recognized, can only propel us further. Makeup and Mimosas, which I swear I have not had one, came to me a couple of months ago. So it was originally hosted by one of my colleagues in the colonoscopy, who moved to Portland. And they just knew me by reputation and said, hey, we hear you're because I'm dubbed the mother of Salem because I have so many kids. We heard that you are the mother of Salem. Would you be interested in hosting our drag brunch? Nicole left, we need a replacement. You know, we know you, this is what you do. I talked to my fiance for a minute and then it was like, yeah. You know, drag in the daytime? Sure, why not? There's a switch that you have to flip for the daytime and then the nighttime, mainly because of, age restrictions. And so I wanted that challenge, and I wanted visibility. I wanted to show that I wasn't one note, that I only know how to host at a bar. I can do this too, and I can do that, and I can do this. So 2 Saturdays a month, second and fourth Saturday here at the Infinity Room in Salem. The first 3 brunches sold out completely. And I have a strong feeling that it's because I'm bringing different talent. Because we all work in the same circles, but we gravitate towards different talents. So I like to switch it up and have a variety. And so I think that has done a lot for the show, and its success moving forward has been to just have that variety that people don't. There's entertainers that you could only go to Portland to see on a Friday night or a Saturday night. But because I have that relationship in the community, I can say, hey, you want to do a Saturday morning brunch? And they'll say yes. So this person who doesn't necessarily get to go to Portland gets to come to Salem and see their favorite Portland queen. You don't always have to go to Portland, or you don't always have to go to a big city to see good drag. It's right in your backyard. When somebody tells me that they want to do drag, my jaded response is kind of like, why? Why do you want to do that? Like, they're everywhere. There's probably some in this plant right here. We're just everywhere. It's important you know why, so that you know what to expect of yourself, so that other people around you know what to expect of you. If you're doing it just because you want to do it, then do that. But be honest about why you want to do it. My wish would be a more inclusive drag scene, a more inclusive and diverse queer culture here in Salem, because it's there. It's all just kind of like bubbling. We have all the tools here. We have the community. We have the knowledge, and we have the power to show everyone else around us that Salem's pretty queer, and in a pretty awesome way too. The first and third Saturday at 8 o'clock is my show Calienté, which has my four daughters, well, 3 daughters and my fiance. We have a hard time calling him my daughter because he's my fiance, so it's icky. So, and then we usually have like a special guest come from Portland, a featured guest. And then every fourth Saturday at 8 at the Speakeasy is Club Calienté, which I created to showcase drag talent that sings live, because I'm a live singer. It was that opportunity, that's where we do comedy sketches. That's where we do stuff that's a little more non-traditional drag. That fourth was kind of to like make me happy so I could sing live, do some acting, make the people laugh. Not to say that I don't do that at the regular shows, but this is a little bit more focused on singing live and performing live. I just want people to have a good time. We live in a very crazy world, oftentimes sad, heartbreaking, and I tell my audiences, either at some point during the night or during the day, I say that we live in a really crazy world, and it's important that we be kind to one another, be sensitive to each other. First and foremost, be kind to ourselves. And just, we hear it a lot, everybody's going through something, and they are. So my wish, my hope, my prayer is that through educating the masses, that we can somehow come together stronger, more informed, and more compassionate than ever, because right now that's kind of what's needed. We need that compassion, we need that care for one another.
Not a lot of my brothers and sisters in some areas get to do what I do, and just because it's not happening to us doesn't mean it's not happening. So we have to make sure that we stay vigilant, we stand together, and trust me, a little bit of kindness and togetherness will go a long, long way. And it's never been more important than right now for us as queer people to stand together and make a change once again, because that's what we've been doing for many, many years. Our work is never done, and that's okay. Hard work builds character.